Alright, so I want to take a couple minutes today and go through something people ask me a lot about, and that's barrel builds. Barrel builds are one of the key things in any airsoft build. No matter what your engine is, whether it's a gearbox, HPA, in some cases gas blowback, things of that nature, your bucking and your barrel are key to making it shoot well. So what I want to do is I'll be using here a Crytek hop-up. I have a couple different buckings here. I have a VFC bucking, a Mad Bull Red Shark, and then a couple here that I flipped inside out just to show you the difference between some of the different patches, and then a Crytek bucking here, as well as a standard flat nub, a maple leaf curved nub, which you can see there. It's curved side to side, and then another flat nub. Okay, so back into this. One thing that's very key to all buckings is I flipped this. This is a maple leaf bucking. I flipped inside out just to show you. There we go. The patch on the inside. So the patch is what actually contacts the BB to give it hot. So that is what makes it fly. So when it's right side up, it sits in these lips, and then it's shot through those lips. Friction from this patch rubs against the top of the BB, giving it kind of like backspin. I forget the name of the effect. You can Google it and figure out what it is, but it's a scientific thing that basically the BB goes, it drops, and then picks up, hence giving you your hop and your distance. We'll need that BB for later. So this is a maple leaf bucking, just to show you the patch on that. It's very nice. They have a very big patch that sits down in, kind of like an R hop or a flat hop without the effort, honestly. I prefer these. They're my favorite, but I'm going to go through a couple other different kinds too. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go through is a flat hop. So this is an old Promy purple that's came out of someone's gun that's seen better days, but I flipped it inside out just to show you what you do, which this is not the cleanest job, but what you do when you flat hop is you flip your bucking inside out, and then you actually will sand off the notch that sits in the bottom of the barrel, which when you're looking at the barrel would sit in this notch here, and then you sand off the patch, kind of similar to the maple leaf I showed you, but this would just be a standard patch. It's just like a little mound that sits down into your barrel window. So you sand those off, and then what you do is you'll turn it, I'd say, 90 degrees. So you turn it this way so those don't line up in that hole. Once again, this is up backwards. And then you'd use one of these flat nubs I showed you. And what it does is it pushes that in your window, and that gives you basically that profile, but down into your barrel window. When they started doing this originally you didn't have a lot of the mounds like the maple leaves, things of that nature. So what it was doing was it's allowing you more contact across the BB, therefore allowing you more hop with less protrusion down into the hole. So you're putting the backspin on it with less loss of force, I believe is the term, while it moving forward through the barrel. So you have more backspin with less slow down. I'm not a science guy here. But allowing you to throw a heavier BB further. So that was why the flat hop became a thing. It's a really cheap, easy mod. You can do it with a stock bucking, whatever, if you want. And one thing we did a lot was you take a piece of eraser and make a flat nub and just throw it in under the arm, and it would do the same thing, which is kind of cool. If you're on a budget and want to do it, real simple way to do it. Okay, so moving on. From there then, you have a couple of things. So if we're going into doing a barrel build, the first thing you're going to want to do is when you get a bucking, because quality control on these suck. You're going to learn that as you get into these. It's kind of weird doing this with the camera this way, but I'll show you. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to set this BB down into those lips and test. Now it might not always do that. Sometimes it takes it being in the hop-up for it to have that retention, but you want the lips to hold the BB and then just gently push through. It shouldn't be hard to push through. So this is a Crytek bucking, so we're going to use this for today's example. So when doing any barrel build, you're going to take your barrel, First thing you do is make sure it's clean. I primarily when doing that, we'll take my good old DeWalt drill with a cleaning patch and a cleaning rod for a 22, and I will run this down the barrel. Slowly, gently, da 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 da. If you have stuff to clean, you can use wax, things of that nature if you want. That's all up to you. But just make sure it's clean. A clean inner barrel makes a huge difference in performance. So first thing you're going to do, you're going to install bucking. So you slide that notch into the notch of the barrel. One thing I do is, because I don't want the nubs inside to get messed up, is I push it up a little bit so it pops over and into the hole. And then just make sure that it's in there. Like so. There we go. Sorry, my camera setup could be better. So you'll see there, you just take a look at it and then check and make sure that use your finger. See, there's the nub, so the Crytek's sticking down in there. Okay. So from there then, I'm going to show you this. This is a Crytek hop-up. With these, so you know, if you're taking this apart, you're going to pop the top of this forward and pop that up. Their nub actually sits in here. Now, you'll see I've added, if you find a small piece of wire, and I recommend this with Crytek hop-ups if you're doing heavier BBs, you add this little metal bar in that hole, makes a huge difference. Typically, it doesn't come with it, it's hollow. But, so then down in there is your hop window, which this actually has a bucking still sitting in it, ironically. Bear with me. That's from yeah, that's actually a regular modified bucking, but to show you here again, this is the standard patch that you'll see on most standard buckings. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on to that. I will sometimes use a little bit of silicone spray on this lubricant to get it in here, but it's still good from the last time. So what you're going to do is you're going to find that notch that was in the bottom. You're going to line that up with the natural seam from fabricating this, or casting rather. Hop up, you're going to slide that in there, like so. You're going to take your C-clip. You're going to clip that C-clip right in there, 1 and 2. I'll move it around to you here, clip like that. Now one thing I do then is I pull it forward a little bit. Some of these will have a little brass ring that'll sit down here. Crytek uses springs that hold it against the barrel. I'll show you that actually in a sec. So then you have all this. So in the case of a Crytek, you can plop that down in, pop that forward. Then what we're going to do is you're going to do a BB drop test. So first thing you do, you're going to drop a BB down the feed tube. Good. You want to make sure it drops all the way down, because if it stops and hits those bucking lips, your magazine's going to do the same thing. In some cases, people will think with high caps, oh, you're winding it. It's feeding because it's forcing the BB past those lips, and then you'll get bad performance, but you'll go to put a mid cap in and they'll be like, oh, it doesn't feed. And everybody always thinks it's the magazines. Usually it's that bucking just sitting ever so slightly into that window. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to drop this down in the feed tube here. And you see how it just sits in there, which you can't see because it's dark. We're then going to take something here and gently tap it. And you'll see it falls through gently, and you're good to go. Then you're going to adjust this. I'll just adjust it up a little bit, see. And you're going to verify that it's sticking down into the window nice and square, which it is. And then you're done. Barrel built done. Now with Crytek, as I was saying, they come with springs. So what they'll have here is a spring that you'll put on, and it'll sit here and give retention when you put your receiver against your gearbox shell. Standard M4s, a lot of hop-ups have a spring here, or some of the Macs have, you do a spring here, a spring on the top, spring on the bottom, cover from things. So whatever unit you have. One thing that was also popular for a while was you could put O-rings on here. If you're having a build that's giving feeding issues, put O-rings on the front so that it just holds it, and that'll work very similar to a spring. But that's it. Now if you were doing, you'd do the same thing. If you were doing a flat hop, you just put that flat hop bucking in, you'd replace that stock Crytek nub with a flat nub, and do that. Now if when doing that, say I get this all the way down after I flat hop, and not enough of that is protruding down in, what you do, it's really easy, is you take one of these buckings that have seen better days, like this ripped up chromey purple here, cut a piece of it off, just the flap of it, and put it down into that little hole there, and then test it and see if that fixes your issue. If it doesn't, again, cut another little piece, put it in, or if you want, depending on the flat nut, you could actually just make one out of a eraser or whatever you'd like to do. So long, it doesn't matter what's pushing in there, so long as you have a nice consistent square pushing down in there, you're good. So that's it. Pretty general barrel bolt questions. If you have any questions, hit them in the comments or find me on Instagram, _dad. Okay, a couple of just troubleshooting things for if you're having issues with your hop-up. So one thing is, say you're doing your BB drop test and it's stopping. One thing you can do is grab this, and you're gonna pull it forward, and then try it again. Because sometimes when you're pushing this in, you're just pushing the bucking too far and it just happens. So pulling this back and resetting it, that'll allow you to do that. A couple other things, if you're running into where you're dropping it down here, down the feed, where the nozzle would go, and it's not catching, it's just dropping in, that could just be the combination of whatever hop-up you're using with whatever bucking you're using. Because I know everybody loves Promi Purples, but a lot of times, and I don't know what it is, but they have issues. So even in a hop-up. So, but like, if I put this then in a VFC hop-up or a Max hop-up, the way it's set might be better than the Crytac because of the tolerance inside. So it might make the lips tighten up. Because often, when you do that, some hop-ups will hold it with no issues. I'm survival tool will do it. There you go. Boom.